Who are you?
Yang, we have a lot to talk about.
But you can forget that happened, at least for now. Because as far as the series is concerned, it hasn't happened. Yet. Let me explain what I mean. Here's my theory on when Yang actually meets Raven. Hey everyone, BioSnow here. Now you're probably wondering why this video is going up later than normal. Well, as it turns out, I bought some fabric for a cosplay. A lot of chemicals are used to make these fabrics, and it turns out I'm allergic to some of them. So by the time I realized the reason I had a stuffy nose and couldn't stop sneezing was because of the pile of cloth in the corner. It had already made like a flower and pollinated the air of my studio, delaying the recording of the audio of this video by 4 days. Because until now, my voice has been terrible, but enough of that, you don't care, you just want to hear my theory. And this is one of my crazier theories, so buckle up and here we go. Now, this clip takes place at the end of Volume 2. It's a short clip that plays out when the credits for Volume 2 close. But there are some keys in the scene, and some clips from Volume 3 that lead me to believe that this scene actually hasn't happened yet. The easiest way to explain this is to show the clips I mentioned. The first of these is in Volume 3 when Crow shows Yang and Ruby the picture of him and the rest of Team Stark. It's made evident that Yang almost immediately locks onto the image of Raven, but she doesn't seem to make the connection right away. She looks like she only vaguely remembers who she sees. This would make sense if her last memory of Raven was not that of talking to her mother, but of watching someone who kinda resembles this walk into a portal. Remember the portal, it becomes incredibly important later. Next, there is the conversation that Yang has with Crow. While it starts out with them talking about the events of the Vital Tournament, specifically why Yang attacked Mercury, Yang eventually mentions this to him.
And I thought I saw... her. Her sword. Like the one in you and Dad's old picture.
To which Crow oddly responds with,
That was your mom, all right. Let me guess. She didn't say a word, did she?
How did you know that?
Now this seems almost contradictory. Yang and Raven have said at least more than one word to each other in the clip, and it's implied that they may have had a very long, in-depth discussion. So if Yang is agreeing that Raven didn't say a word, maybe the time she is referring to is not the moment we were thinking of, but is instead when Yang woke up and saw Raven exit through a portal. So maybe her expression when she saw Raven in the photograph was not one of remembering the talk that the two of them had, but instead her putting the pieces together and realizing the woman who saved her on the train was, in fact, Raven. I think I've made enough of a connection for this argument to stand on its own, but I'm not done yet. The reason I'm saying this is because from here forward, we are entering massive speculative territory. Everything I'm about to say is founded only in visual clues and intuition. In other words, we're going down the rabbit hole, and it's not a shallow dive either. If you're ready, let's begin. For this part of the theory, we will be guided only by the clip in question and what we see. First of all, take a look at the setting. It's clearly the courtyard of Beacon Academy, but it seems a little bit off. It's entirely empty, almost like it's been abandoned. And if we consider how Volume 3 ended, maybe this is what the school is like at this point in the future. What if, after everyone was evacuated and the Grimm left the school grounds, it returned to nature? Now this would take some time, much more than a few months in between Volumes 3 and 4, but maybe it's just enough time for the Grimm to have left, but not for any noticeable plant life to grow. No real signs that humans are no longer present to emerge. I'm not suggesting this happens in between volumes, only that it must have happened much later than Volume 2. Now watch Yang's eyes as Raven removes her mask. They are somewhat violet when they first talk, but as the scene plays out, they grow more and more red, a sign that Yang is getting angry. This doesn't make much sense unless she already knew who was under the mask. Seeing her suspicions come true might have angered her. She might have been holding out hope that the woman under the mask wasn't Raven, but now that hope is gone. Raven's eyes are also red, but that's a discussion for another time. But also take a look at the setting of the scene. Not just where they are, not just the strange absence I mentioned earlier, but also take a look at the colors being used. These aren't the colors you usually see. They're a bit more contrasting to each other, unlike the normal Beacon where the colors very much complement each other. This may, in a strange way, be a foreshadowing of the stress building between Raven and Yang, and a possible fight that is about to ensue. However, I would like us to look to a different clip to really drive home why I'm bringing up the colors. There's only one other place in RWBY where I've seen colors vary like this. Now, if I haven't lost you yet, hold on to something because we are about to take a dive into the deep end of the theory pool. It's going to get hard to breathe and there isn't going to be much light, so proceed with caution. Remember how Raven can seemingly open a portal at will wherever she is? She does this presumably to engage in the fight with Neo and also to leave once it's over. However, the entire portal is oddly colored. Red with black. Colors seen only with Salem and occasionally with Summer. There's Adam too, but in a different way. The point is, what if that portal does not take her to a different point in the world, not to a different location in Remnant, but to another world altogether, a parallel dimension. A dimension ruled by Salem, and the place the Grimm are slowly coming out of. Think about it, the way Salem's scene looks when she appears is unlike anywhere we've seen up to this point, and it doesn't quite look like something we would find in nature. However, it screams Grimm, it shouts evil villain, so what if Raven has access to this realm either through her blade, her semblance, or something else? Maybe that's why no one could find her, because that's where she lives now, and I will talk about just why she's there and what all is happening behind the scenes in another video, but for now, hear me out. I'm proposing that this is the realm Yang had to find her way into in search of her mother. If it really is the birthplace of the Grimm, as I'm suggesting, then it would certainly be reasonable of Crow to warn her that this journey would be extremely dangerous. But she made it this far, and now finds Raven, and it looks like some skeletons are about to come out of the closet. But what exactly? Well, we'll just have to wait for the story to catch up to find out. And already I see you in the comments going, but Yike has both her arms in that scene. She's still wearing her default clothes. How could this be later than Volume 4? Well, think about it this way. When this was put at the end of Volume 2, it would have been a huge spoiler for Yang to show up missing an arm. Plus, the animators may not have been told what this scene was or what Yang looked like, only that it was the opening of a conversation between Yang and Raven in a version of Beacon that was colored in a different way. They knew we would see the scene. It was supposed to be found by everyone patient enough to sit through the credits, so why would they want to give away something like Yang losing her arm? They wouldn't. They just set the scene and let the characters talk, leaving just enough evidence across the series so that someone, perhaps me, would be able to put the pieces together and see this scene for what it truly is. Well, that's enough crazy talk for now. Tell me in the comments what you thought of this theory and weigh in on which side of it you believe. Did it actually happen at the end of Volume 2, but Yang somehow forgot everything Raven said, or is there more to it than that? Anyway, this has been BioSnow, and until next time, run wild, my friends. See ya.